Hi everyone, welcome back to RTS and welcome back to another Record the Story Disney style. Yes, we're going to do another Disney page. Yes, and so not only am I going to do another Disney page, I'm also going to do a load prompt, which is my last one, which means I am 7 for 7 for the mini load event that took place in August. I'm very happy about that because I'll tell you why real quickly. In the past, I would buy classes, and then once the class is over, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, and everybody was kind of, the excitement wore off and everybody left the building, I wouldn't finish the class. Even though I hadn't been done, I wouldn't finish. I'd just drop it like a hot potato, okay? So now I have told myself, of course, I'm in a spending freeze, that I want to get my money's worth with things. Not just my supplies, but also my classes. And so for my load event in May, I did all 31 days. For the load event in August, I will have finished all 7 of those load prompts. So I'm very happy that I'm changing that habit. And so as you go along in this journey, and if you see that you're picking up a bad habit, that's okay. You learn from it, you move on, start creating a new habit. And that is what I've been doing with my classes this year, is getting my money's worth and finishing. Even if that means going back after everyone else is gone, the dust has settled, and the chalk is on the floor. I still go back and finish my classes. So that's a new habit. So I want to encourage you, if you have bought some classes, go back, revisit them, keep working on them. You will feel so accomplished that you did that for yourself. Okay, so that's just a little thing I wanted to talk about, because I am in a spending freeze, and part 2 of my spending freeze is up now if you want to go back and watch that. So for this last load prompt of this mini load event, and the information for load will be linked below, is that the prompt is nicknames that your family may have, or a nickname people may call you, family words, terms, phrases, that type of thing that your family uses. And also what you could do is take the name of something or someplace and repeat it in the background. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do today, is I'm actually going to do some stamping, and I'm going to stamp, of course, Mickey on the background. Okay, now I had to do this video over because I broke out into a song, and I'm going to try not to do it, but there's a certain song, and Mickey, yeah, and that song keeps repeating in my head. So I broke out in song in the last one, and I thought no one wants to hear my singing, so I had to do it over. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so not only am I going to do a load prompt and get that class finished and off my checklist, yes, I'm going to do another Disney page, yes, I'm going to also do a 1-page layout with 4x6 photos, which I know a lot of people like, and then also more than one photo. So I'm probably going to get, I don't think I'll do all 4, but at least 3. Okay, I will get at least 3 4x6 photos on a 1-page spread. So excited about that because I know a lot of people ask for that. And then also too, guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to use any pattern paper. Yes, I'm not going to use any pattern paper, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But what I will be using is a die cut pack for my colors and my design, as far as that type of thing. And so I pulled out one of my die cut binders. Okay, so now let's do a little bit more chit chat. Okay, because I get a lot of comments, I get a lot of questions, and we have a lot of discussion on our channel. So I love that, because that was one of my goals for this channel, a place for people to hang out, have discussions, and just ideas back and forth, and that's what it's about. So someone had asked, what do I do with these die cut books? Anything in scrapbooking? Yes, scrapbooking, my Bible journaling, cards, that type of thing. So just because they're in this type of composition book doesn't mean that I don't use them for scrapbooking. It's just that I use them for everything in scrapbooking. They're just more portable. Now, I also got the question, why books and binders both? Because I'm a little bit of everything. So in this composition book, that they are just by collection. I have another composition book that's just by a certain manufacturer, Kaisercraft, and then of course in my binders I have them by color. So I do a little bit of everything because I scrap a little bit of everything, and I am a little bit of everything. Yes, so I like a variety of things. And so of course in this composition book, and they're just put together in, and someone asked that question, what do I use? They're just mounting squares. Okay, now these are on a roll. You can get them in a box. You can get them at Michael's Hobby Lobby, and I'll have the video link below. You can go and watch more about that entire process of this die cuts in these composition books or binders, however you want to do it. Okay, no wrong way to do it, just your way. Absolutely. Okay, so, oh, one other thing, Daisy, one of our other lovely subscribers, said, don't forget to check out that a lot of stores are trying to weed out that back to school inventory. So she had found composition books for 50 cents. Oh, talk about a steal. Okay, now let me give you a tip about composition books or any type of notebook. The higher number of paper that's in a book, it usually means that the thinner the paper is. So if you have a choice between 80 or 100, usually the 80 will be thicker paper. Okay, so give that a consideration. Look at that. Sometimes the paper, the higher number of pages, the paper gets thinner. So keep that in mind. Okay, so now let's talk about this. This is just different die cuts that by collection. And I keep them by collection because then I want to play with them as a collection. Okay, I don't want to break them up. And frankly, some of these, where would you even put it? I wouldn't know. Right here, what color would I put that in? I don't know, but it's a collection. And so I use them. And two, since I'm on a spending freeze, when I look at this book, it makes me feel like I'm looking at new things because it's still the collection. Okay, so now through this, and this was, oh, this is coconut vanilla. The only cocoa vanilla I've ever seen in real life. And my friends, Katie and Jess from the Scrappy Sisters, I'll have their channel linked below. They sent me this, and I can't wait to play with it. Okay, so moving on, okay. Just a fun, I call this my vending machine, yes. So I have already decided a die cut pack that I'm going to work with this start to finish, and I have it up front here, and it's by the lovely Shamel. And so to me, when I saw my colors in my photos, it just made me think of that, and so that's what I'm using, okay? So I'm going to limit myself for this left page, this right page, and then I have some stragglers on the back. So those 3 pages is what I'm going to be using for my die cuts and my colors, and also to my motifs and designs, okay? Because a lot of these will fit a Disney page. But honestly, when you go to an amusement park, there's so many things that you have for supplies that will fit. It doesn't always have to be Disney related. Six Flags, what's some other ones? Busch Gardens. It don't always have to be themed for that park to use it, okay? Just, it's colorful, so you can get away with using a lot of color. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So then, of course, you know, my technique that I'm going to do, which came from the load prompt, was repeating the name in the background. And so that's what I'm going to do. So, of course, you know, I need to pull out some inks and some stamps, and that's what I did. So I pulled out my inks first because I knew what direction I was going to go because I'm using this. So I just went by these few die cuts here, and I picked out some inks that kind of matched that, and I went with what I had. I did not stress over it because I'm not going to have everything exactly because, you know, that's just not the way it is. Now, these are Hero Arts shadow ink in the mid-tone. That's where most of these are. And then I also have in my red, which I love this. This is a classic cherry by Ranger, okay? And so you'll see that I have my ink swatches here on the one side of my pad. That is the quickest way to do an inventory of what color you have as far as your ink pads. And I will have a video linked below if you want to see a very, and I'm talking very, very cheap way. Like a no-brainer cheap way, excuse me, excuse me, of organizing your ink pads, yes. I remember when I did that, I had said to my sister, am I crazy or what? She said, that's not crazy, that's genius. She said, that's smart. So I will have that video linked below. It was one of the first videos I did. So the colors might be a little off and it might be a little dark, but nonetheless, it's there. Okay, so I have my color inspiration, my embellishments, and I have my inks. So now I need some stamps. So what I decided to do was pull some alphas. Okay, so of course what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the word Mickey and I'm going to put that in the background. Now, will I do the whole page? No, because there's no sense doing a whole page. Because if I use 3 photos, well, right there's my page, right there. So I will strategically either stamp some just in the background where I think my photos will, you know, not be, or I may just take a couple, you know, piece of scrap paper and just make a banner. I don't know, I haven't figured that out. But I pulled some alphas, and so when you're doing stamping on a background, and you have different type of alphas or you have different colors of inks, well, what do? You can do it one of 3 ways. You can absolutely just pick one alpha and one ink color and use that, okay? Nothing wrong with that. Or you can use a variety of alphas and then use a variety of inks. So I could take, I don't know, how many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 different fonts, and I could use and pair that with 6 different colors. Or I could take all of these different fonts and then use one color. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. It might just all be determining on how much time I have, okay? And so then, of course, I have my Tim Holtz platform here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use. I got my the big puppy out because I will be stamping on a 12 by 12. So that's what I did. And also, too, Some people said they were finding these at Hobby Lobbies for $3. The cover and also the platform itself for $3. $4. Oh my Lord, you talk about a steal. I think if I saw that, I wouldn't have cared if I was on a spending freeze or not. You can guarantee I would have picked up a platform for $4. That is a no-brainer. I'll pick a couple of them, give some for gifts. Yes, okay. So if you happen to be in a Hobby Lobby not so long from now, check it out, okay? And here's a tip about Hobby Lobby. A lot of people think that clearance is always in one section. No. For Hobby Lobby, their clearance items are intermingled with their regular items. So don't forget that. Okay, so go to where they have stamping, not just the clearance section if you want to find something like that. Okay, that was something I learned a few years ago. Okay, so now what will I do? Oh, and I also have my Mickey head punch. Now let's talk about something here. Okay, so I have a Mickey punch and I have some stamps here. Now I had gotten a question this morning by my beautiful subscriber Nancy Joe, and she had said, because we were recently talking about a spending freeze, and the question was that she brought forth, and it's a good question and it's something I've gotten asked a lot, is because in my start to finish I do show a variety. I'm probably getting a glare. I do show a variety of products that I use. And so someone said, how do you go about using stamps and punches and dies and embossing folders and yada yada yada, tool after tool after tool? Okay, so it comes down to one of two things. Either on a page you can either focus on a tool or focus on a technique, or do one of each. Okay, you cannot pick out 6 stamps and 6 punches and 4 dies and 3 embossing folders and expect to sit down in a timely manner and create a page. Okay, it just doesn't work. So what I have done over the last few years, and I have this topic will be coming up because I have something I'm going to show, but it gets a little involved, so I'll just skim over a brief answer to that question. And you can do it of one of two ways. You can get a punch and just leave it sit down on your desk for a while and play with a punch, okay? Or a couple punches, okay? Now if you have a Rascog, that's an absolutely good place to keep this on your top level of your Rascog. Put like 6 stamps, put 6 punches, 6 embossing folders, and 6 dies, and just work from that from a month, okay? Or what you can do is every week say, okay, well this week I'm going to play with a stamp set, next week I'm going to play with a certain punch, next week I'm going to play with embossing folders, and the last week of the month I'm going to play with dies. Okay, that's a simple way to do it. But if you want to sit down and you feel guilty, and that was what we were talking about, feeling guilty about not using our tools, is that you have to tell yourself, we have so many tools, we have so many stamps, we have so many punches, we have so many embossing folders and things like that. I mean, I think I have over 50 embossing folders. There's no way in the world I can use that even if I used one for every day. No, there's just no way. And dies, I know I have over 50 dies. Punches, I don't know how many punches I have, and I know I have over 50 sets of stamps, okay? There's absolutely no way. So you have to tell yourself, how can you do it one chunk at a time? And so that means maybe one week just focus on a technique, and then the following week just focus on one tool, okay? And then you can cycle out your tools, okay? There's just no way, and don't expect it. You might as well just throw it out the window. It doesn't happen. You can't use every tool and every technique and every tool. Okay, so for me, what I do is I separated technique by tool. Okay, sometimes you can get so wrapped up in trying different techniques that you're just spinning your wheels, and then you get so caught up, well, I have all these tools and I'm not using them. That's okay. You simply can't use them all. Just enjoy what you have as far as an inventory and play with a few at a time. There's just no way. Don't let it throw the guilt out the window, okay? I've been there, done that, been in this game a long time. You might as well throw the guilt out the window today, because tomorrow you'll feel the guilt again. Just absolutely stop that cycle. There's no guilt in this hobby, okay? And if you're feeling guilty about something, ask yourself, why are you feeling guilty about it? And then change it, whatever that is, okay? So I just wanted to give a little bit of talk about that because it's something that came up, and it will be a topic we talk about in our next part 3 of the spending freeze. And then the guilt of scrapbooking will be a whole new topic we'll talk about. And I think that will probably be in January when I have that up and running, okay? And so it would just be just a topic that we talk about. So when it comes to your tools, maybe this week, just say, I'm going to get out a couple punches. Let them sit near your desk. That's all you worry about is those couple punches. And then maybe next week, get out a couple stamp sets. And I don't mean 20, I mean 2. Okay? The following week, get a couple embossing folders. Or another thing you can do is when you're working on a start to finish page or you're working on a layout, tell yourself, well, what tool could I play with? And just go pick that one tool. Just one. just one tool, okay? Not 4, just 1. So I hope that helped a little bit as far as chit chat about using your tools. And so don't worry, we will have that coming up, okay? Because there's a certain fun way you can do as far as using your tools and techniques more. But again, that's another whole series, okay? And we'll talk about that later. So I will come back with my start to finish. I hope you didn't mind a little bit of chit chat, but I got a couple questions and I didn't want to just say, well, just pull them out. No, it's not as simple as that. There's a thought process to using tools and techniques, okay? But it's like the Nike slogan, just do it. Yes, you're going to simply just have to go pull a couple stamps, a couple punches, and a couple embossing folders, and then have them readily available. Because if you're anything like me, if I have to get off my seat, I won't. I just won't. I will play with what I have. I will sit here and figure out how to use a pencil on a page before I go get something else. Yes, that's just me. When I sit to scrap, I sit to scrap. Okay, so that was probably a little chit chat. That's okay. We'll come back with a Disney page. And of course, you know, I'm going to get a Mickey head on there somewhere. Okay, so I will be back. Okay, I'm back with my finished page, and boy, was it ever fun just to sit and play with some stamps and some ink. So I was very, very happy with that, because that was my load prompt, was to absolutely repeat the word Mickey, and so I did that. So of course you can see with my stamping, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute, is that I clearly use that as my title, because that's one whole kind of like a title block. And then of course I use my die cuts for my clusters. And then also too, I broke out a circle punch. Okay, because really all this layout is stamping and die cuts and punches. That's basically what it all is, okay? And so then I took this little circle punch, this little circle punch, and I strategically punched here, here, and here, okay? Because anytime that I'm dealing with Mickey and Disney, I always pull out either stars or circles or both, because I don't know why I think of both. I guess because of Mickey and his ears, they're circles, and of course stars because, you know, everybody's a star at Disney. Yes, okay. So that's what I did. I just used that little circle punch, and I punched in those 3. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. And then also too, remember I say I do a lot of circles and stars when I do Disney, so I definitely use my corner round on all 4 corners, because then it breaks up and feels more like Mickey because of his ears. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the stamping for a minute. And then I also want to talk about visual triangles, because I have 11 on this page. I didn't mean to get 11, but I have 11. I'm going to talk about that. And then I want to talk about a new glue that I have been trying, and I have had success. Yes, okay. So if you want to hang on. If you want to be done, thanks for joining. Okay, so with this stamping, so what I did was I absolutely took 2 stamp sets, and I used this stamp here. And where's my other set? My other stamp set is right here. So I used those 2. And so then what I did was I took both that smaller font, and I just repeated 6 different ink colors, and then I thought it looked a little So then I took this major alpha, and then I simply used that and stamped over it the big name Mickey. So of course I got Mickey on top of Mickey there. And so of course with my black, what did I use here? I have it here. I used this India Ink Black by Hero Arts, and this was recommended to me by a friend, and I have to say that is absolutely a good solid black. That's the only black I reach for the last few years. It's India Ink Black by Hero Arts. So I really like that ink. Okay, so then of course with my stamping, I wanted to show something, because on a platform there's a benefit, so you don't have to keep moving your stamp. But if you look here, I have Mickey, 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 Mickey. And so I wanted to know what your opinion was, and if you have a platform, how would you stamp that? Okay, for me, what I did was, and I'm going to show this again, just to show, because we like to talk. Okay, so what I did was, so I have Mickey here, and so then what I did was, ooh, my paper stuck there. So what I did was, on my block, I just kept moving my paper, okay? I didn't move my stamp. I just kept moving, let me move this up. I just kept moving my paper, and it doesn't matter if I moved it. I just made sure I used my magnets to keep it in place. So if you were using a platform and you wanted to stamp Mickey in a row, in 3 different rows, how would you have done that? Because I don't want to keep moving the stamp. I just kept moving my paper. Is that how you would do that? I mean, I'm not quite sure. Because, you know, with a stamping block, you would just take the stamping block and pretend this is a stamping block, and then you just, you know, stamp it out this way. But with a platform, you can't do that. So how would you have done that? Okay, because I was like, I don't know how. I guess because I don't use a platform enough where I don't stamp enough. How would you do that if you wanted to do different colors? I didn't mind moving the paper. I certainly didn't want to move my, you know, my stamp each time. Okay, and then of course with the big Mickey, all I had to do was just stamp that one time. Okay, so that was pretty easy. So I'm anxious for you gals to tell me, how would you have stamped that if you were using a platform and you wanted to stamp it several times, but in different ink colors? Would you simply just move the paper? Okay. Now, I wanted to show something else with that big platform. Okay, mind me, I'll probably be a little chatty today. So, I wanted to show this. Okay, and I just stuck a piece of paper in here so this ink wouldn't. I don't know, this stamp set's super sticky. I don't get that. It's super sticky. Is that I took washi tape and I covered my magnets. Okay, and I did that because, you know, they're supposed to be so strong and you don't want to get them together, and they are easier. But I noticed that the magnets with this big platform is way different than the magnets that came with the travel platform. Did anybody else run into that? If you have both, these are much thinner and they're hard to grasp, and that's why I put washi tape around them. So I just use these little washi tape tabs to help me get to maneuver and to use my magnets. But the ones with the travel platform, boy, they're much nicer, and you don't need to put washi around them. So again, let me know. Did you find a difference in your magnets? It's crazy. You would think the magnets would have been the same. So, okay, so now let's talk about visual triangles. Because like I said, I have 11. Okay, 11 visual triangles. And it goes with saying that, I say this all the time because people ask me all the time, how do you start building a cluster? It's kind of like you just play around with things till you get one you like, and then you use the same things. And that's how you get your visual triangles in. So, if we talk about visual triangles, just look at the photos. Of course, I have 3 photos. The 3 photos make a visual triangle, which that's the easiest way to do a visual triangle, is with your photos. Then, of course, I have my clusters. Again, makes a visual triangle. And then, of course, the use of multicolor. Okay, the use of multicolor, again, made a visual triangle. And then, of course, this little circle punch that I use for these little hole punches. Okay. That makes a visual triangle, and all I simply did was just lift up my paper and did a half circle. And of course, this half circle, you could think it's half of a Mickey ear, or you could think it was holes for Swiss cheese. Yes, because Mickey is a mouse, yes, so it might look like Swiss cheese. So anyways, there you go. That's a little bit of cute factor there. And then also too, if you notice my text, right here. My text makes a visual triangle. And then notice my 3 photos. What do I have in 2 of the photos? Of course, in all 3 photos, again, you would get the visual triangle of Mickey. Okay, but that's the 3 photos, okay? But within the photos, Mickey makes a visual triangle. But then in 2 of my photos, notice I have flowers. So I purposely had this flower die cut, and I purposely put it down here, and I purposely put the photo up here with the flowers, okay? Because then again, visual triangle. Okay, just with 2 things in a photo and a thing that's not in a photo. So there I've used 2 photos and a die cut to make a visual triangle. Yes, okay, so then of course I have silver elements here, here, and here, make a visual triangle. And then I added a little bit of black and white dotted washi. And I, again, in 3 spots, where's that? Down here, just a little sliver, again, makes a visual triangle. And then I have stars and stars and stars, visual triangle. And now let's look at sequins. Again, another visual triangle. And then the last one is this wee little thing up here. I have 3 enamel dots in those balloons, and again, makes a visual triangle. So yes, that was 11 visual triangles. And that's why when I did that video, and I'll have it linked below, why I spent a lot of time on visual triangles, because I think it is the design concept for people on, you know, that we use as scrapbooker on our pages. Because it's the easiest thing to do, and it's the best way to get balance on your page by using your products just in a visual triangle. So on this just one page, And it isn't a very complicated page. It's a very colorful page, okay? Because really, I have no technique other than stamping. The rest was just adhering die cuts, honestly. Okay, that's all it was. And so then I did want to show that someone had asked me when I use a tag with twine, because my twine does not move, okay? There might be a little place that moves, but my twine is stationary, and I like it that way. For me, you don't have to do it that way, is because I don't want it just cattywampus in my page protector. The way I have it here is the way I want to see it in my page protector. So the way I do that is that I use this Tombow mono, okay? And I just put it underneath my twine. And again, this gives you a little bit of wiggle room, and then you can maneuver your twine in however which way you want that. And so it just keeps that movement going along. Okay, so I think that was it, other than, of course, you know, if you notice, I have a red Mickey head here, okay, because that was my hidden Mickey so much. And so then I just used that scrap I have left over because I gutted the inside of my basil, because I have a basil on top of a basil, and that's enough weight. I didn't need two of them. So I used that to my benefit. And then, of course, you know, I said I used those die cuts for everything. And so then, if you notice, I'll just show this. Okay, so we have die cut here, die cut, 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 die cut. Okay, so that all came from my book that I had showed earlier. And of course, this is what it looks like when you rip some out. It doesn't matter because you're not going to reuse this. So it doesn't matter if you have holes. That's a good thing. That means you've been busy. If you have holes in your books, you've been busy. Okay, so I think I had one. No, I thought I had one loose one that I had to put away, but no, I think I put it back. Okay, and so then that's all I did, as I used, and I still have plenty left over, and I did a whole page. Okay, so this was one die cut I wanted to show. It was over here, and I took that die cut and I used my star punch, okay, because I wanted some additional stars, and so I absolutely used a die cut as a pattern, you know, just as if it was a scrap, and I used it for those stars. Okay, so I have one more thing to talk about. And of course, I had one photo left over. The date's on. It's going to go back in my Disney photo pocket here till I'm done playing with some photos or some layouts. Is that I found a new glue, because you know I have been trying a few glues because of the problem I had. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm getting a rabbit trail. Okay, I was having, for many, many months, I was having trouble trying to find something for my perler beads, and I found something. I absolutely found something. I've been trying it out for a few weeks and giving it a go a few days later and this and that, and here's what it is. It's by Scotch Create, you know, the makers of my favorite quick dry. Is called Permanent Super Glue Gel, okay, and it has a precision tip that you can use for sequins or perler beads, and it's a gel, so it's not runny, so it just kind of stays in place till you get that sequin or that perler bead on, and it absolutely stays stuck. I think it was like $3.40 at Target. Okay, so of course, you know, that was about the going rate, by $3.50. Okay, and so the only thing is that it's not very big. I think it's it's 0.14 ounce. Okay, so it's a quarter of an ounce, so it's not very much. But I wanted to get this super glue gel. The gel was what I was after, but I wanted a precision tip. I didn't want it in a tube or anything like that. I don't do very well with tubes of glue. Okay, and so I have found one. I have now successfully found a glue, and of course, you know, I might as well just keep looking at other glues because it's all in the same family. So I'm very tickled with that. It's not too expensive. It goes on very nice. And I have tried, and these are not coming off. It works so well with sequins. Okay, now I have glossy accents that I'll use, but now that I have for these perler beads, I'm so excited. I finally have found a glue. Of course, you know, by Scotch. Gotta love that brand. Okay, but again, that's what it's called, Super Glue Gel, and it works for my perler beads. Absolutely. Again, bottle isn't very big. That's the downfall. Okay, so I'm going to have a couple of those in my stock. And so then to use them with my sequins, of course I used my quick sticks, but I recently posted a video, and I'll have it linked below, that you can make your own quicker picker upper. Yes, and so I have that video linked below. Okay, so my journaling is on there. I didn't have really much to say. It was just about every time there's a Mickey, I'm snapping. Yes, I try to find as many as I can. So that's all I have for this last load prompt, and I'm very happy how it turned out, because I would not have done that stamping in such a way. I would not have repeated the name. I wouldn't have done that. would not have never done that without the load prompt. I would have just, you know, got them on there, made some colors, bing, bang, boom. So I love the load prompts for that. Stretches me a little bit. So, of course, you know, we have a load event going on now, and so you will now start to see some more start to finish using the load event prompts from October. So that's all I have for today. I hope you liked watching this start to finish and a little bit of chit chat about this, that, and the other thing. So come back to RTS because you never know what we're going to learn. Bye.